Hi guys, and welcome to the last episode of season 1 of the Tabak Business Sales Podcast with Damien and Sam. I got that right in one. Look, we've shared a lot of knowledge with you around quite a lot to do with business sales, and so for this last episode, we'd like to discuss why somebody wanting to sell their business or somebody wanting to refer a client, why they would choose Tabak over some of the other brands. Now, but my first initial thoughts on this question is that, you know, we are boutique, and I see that as a positive. All we do is sell businesses. We are real estate agents, but we don't sell property. So our core focus is selling businesses. So it's not a part of a larger organisation. I think that exclusivity really means that we know what we're doing. Yeah. It's our sole focus.
Totally agree, Sam. And I think the other one, or another reason, is between yourself and myself, we cover quite a wide range of business backgrounds, which we'll just very briefly review shortly. But it's not just Sam and me. At the end of the day, we've got 4 Tabak offices up in the North Island. At any time, if we're looking at a particularly challenging sector or industry or a gnarly profile of a particular business, we can pick up the phone and talk to any one of another half a dozen or 10 brokers with Tabak, very experienced people up in the North Island. What I find has really helped myself when I got into broking 19 years ago, having that experience across quite a wide range of industries as a salaryman, definitely, but IT, networking with fibre optic, manufacturing, steel filing cabinets and the like, and looking to how we can maintain and increase market share in that market. Debt collection and credit control. I did that over in the UK, and that was pretty fun.
So did I.
There you go. Yeah, and they love the way we talk, but that's whole nother episode. And the other big one for me was important distribution. 10 or 11 years with Mitsubishi Electric, bringing in TVs, videos, and dealing with a whole bunch of the big box retailers. So we get to see the retail end, because they used to use us as slave labour when they had their big expos many years back. Some of you will remember. So we kind of got to know how the retailer works, but also very much how it works when you actually are bringing the gear in and stock turn and getting rid of aged stock and all of that good stuff. So certainly in terms of my background, I found that really, really helpful in terms of what we bring to our client base.
And yeah, with my accounting background, obviously I've been dealing with businesses for years and years and years, all different kinds. This is almost a natural progression without me having to do tax returns and draft accounts, which wasn't my favourite part of the day, let me tell you. So look, we've got the expertise, I think we've got the credibility, and as you mentioned, we're nationwide. What I love about that, and look, I joined 8 years ago and I did my research onto other brokerages who would have all happily taken me on board, and Tabak was definitely the go-to because we're small, but also we're very well connected. There's no in-house fighting over listings, whether that's Damien and I, because we're both owners, or nationwide. We're all here to help each other. We have full access to everybody's data, and we're all wanting to help. We catch up every couple of years. Probably should do it a bit more, I reckon. But yeah, we're there to help each other. Small team, but it's a lot more beneficial, I think, than having a huge team of a lot of people who are all fighting over poor listings.
But it's all very well for us to wax lyrical about how good we are. We're more than happy to provide a whole bunch of client testimonials to anyone that is considering utilising us. We have no problem if they just want to read. We've got 120 plus just in the South Island alone. And then there's dozens and dozens more up in the North Island. You know, we have got certain individuals that are quite happy to take a call from an anonymous potential vendor and just chat about how they found the experience of using Tabak to sell their business. So we're more than happy to share that with you. We've got a lovely old-fashioned PDF Word document with all of these 120 plus on them. And if you go to if you Google us for Google reviews, we've got 2. And we're just starting to bring ourselves into the 21st century in that regard. And so they're obviously they're good. But yeah, we'd publish whatever we've got, whether it's good or bad. We haven't had too many bad ones, to be fair. And the only one that I can recall was more constructive criticism rather than outright criticism. So, and that's in the testimonial folder. So yeah, that's that. You know, listen to what other people chat about and how they found their experience.
And look, we talked to vendors who have dealt with other brokerages before, and when I started this and jumped into this 8 years ago, the way I look at it is a business owner, they might sell 3 or 4 houses in their lifetime, but usually they will only sell one house. So even if I have 5 or 6 businesses that I'm dealing with, if they call me, I'm going to get back to them. If they want to meet me tomorrow morning, I'm going to meet them tomorrow morning, because I know for me, I'm juggling, family life, I'm juggling work, kids' school, and I'm juggling 5 or 6 clients and doing some appraisals. But this one business owner, this is the biggest thing that's happening and probably in their lives, and it could be the biggest monetary transaction they're actually going to be dealing with. So they're thinking about it, they're going to bed thinking about it, they're waking up thinking about it. I'm not, but I need to be conscious that they are. So if they call me, I'm going to answer, I'm going to call them back. And so it's just looking at it from a vendor's eyes. And we often hear of brokerages in the industry, they're juggling 12 or 13, they're not calling back, they don't think it's a big deal, they're on the golf course. Whereas for us, we actually understand where they're coming from, and we've got that empathy and understanding. So we want to get back to them. We want to treat it like it is the most important thing in our lives as well for them. And I think we get that feedback a lot, is that we're responsive, we understand, and we're not just it's not a numbers game for us. We want to get 30 listings and sell them tomorrow.
And that's why we have a lot of referral business from accountants, even business bankers, and occasionally solicitors. If they know people, they've got particularly close client relationships, they're actually happy to put their hand up and say, look, talk to the guys at Tabak. They won't put you wrong. Even if they can't help, they'll steer you in the right direction. So, we're very comforted by that and very appreciative of that. And perhaps if we could just move into a couple of very brief kind of case studies that I think show why perhaps we're a little bit different. I had a business a number of years ago. It was selling consumables, and the individual who we approached had been trying to buy the business he worked in for a number of months, if not years. And he finally had thrown his arms up in the air and given up in disgust. At the same time, I was talking with, it was fairly soon after the earthquakes, and this business was rocking and rolling pretty well. And the owner, though, he had some health issues, and he just said, hey, look, I need to sell my business. What we did was we pretty much did a match make. We put the potential buyer in front of the owner. We did a relatively brief information package at that stage and just said, hey, look, this is a great business. It's going gangbusters. It's constant year in, year out. It's consumable products, so they wear out and their clients have to replace these products. Long story short, without any fuss, without any advertising, without much ado at all, we got pretty much a full-priced offer. And this was, as I say, over 10 years ago, and our buyer still owns that business and is still generating good profits from that business. And the other one, and sometimes we have to be psychologists and counsellors, that's a really good one. Yep, I have had the occasional time where I've had a 75-year-old business owner giving him a hug because things have got a bit fraught at home through the whole sale process, and that can happen. And you've just got to have the maturity and the empathy to deal with things like that. But this one was actually not an older business owner. It was a younger guy, younger than me anyway, and he was wanting to sell the business, but he was quite torn. It was a massive step for him. Anyway, he approached us. We had a good conversation. He came onto the market. We were marketing strongly. We had a couple of very, very good prospects. And then this gentleman, he had one of his parents, I think, was a bit poorly, and it was too much. He said, no, I can't go through with this. That's fine. We pulled back. We had to park the people that were interested, but we fully respected this gentleman was just going through some challenging times. Because of that, and because of the way we handled it, when he came back to us 15 months later and said, hey, no false starts this time, we're for real. Again, at that stage, we reached out to some potential buyers we had, because buyers are coming to us all the time. They're coming back into the country from overseas, or they're moving away from their paid employment, or they've got the pip with the boss and they've said, no, I want to add value to my own business. We shoulder tapped several buyers. We got one on board. And again, a relatively smooth, well, actually it was a very smooth transaction. And we got the deal over the line without going wide to the market. And for probably about $600,000 more than was going to be the case 18 months earlier or 15 months earlier. So, these are the things that can happen, and we've got to be flexible enough to just roll with it. And by and large, we can be.
Another example, it's not a specific case study, but this is something I've done a few times, and we talk to business owners about. They come to us and they've got a fantastic business. They say, can you provide an appraisal? We say, sure thing. What's it for? Are you looking at selling? They go, yes, but we already have a buyer that's approached us and they're having a look at things, but it's been 2 months, they're dragging the chain and they haven't come up with an offer yet. So they're wanting to know what the best course of action is. And look, what we say is, let's appraise the business, tell you what we think it's worth. We then think we should take the business to market, so list with us. And by doing so, I then approach this buyer and I say, hey, by the way, I'm now representing the business owner. The business is going to market. We take that business to market. And what happens is then that encourages this one buyer to hurry up and pull their socks up if they're thinking they can negotiate a low price because they're the only buyer. All of a sudden, they're competing against the market. So whether it sells to this buyer, whether it sells to one of our buyers, the vendor is actually going to get the best result rather than this original buyer kicking the tires for 2 or 3 months and taking their sweet time because they think the ball's in my court here. I'm going to spend ages, then I'm going to come with a lowball offer. Well, sorry, buddy, you now can't because we've got 3 other people who are really interested who have met the vendors. So now you're actually going to have to make an offer very quickly. And a lot of vendors, they haven't actually thought about doing that. They just think, oh, I've got a buyer, so maybe I don't need a broker. But they really do need that middleman to encourage things along. And quite often we end up with a very successful result, whether it's sold to that buyer or to one of our buyers.
And again, there's plenty of examples of that within our testimonials. So Sam, I think in closing, what we'd really like to stress is we're business brokers, we sell businesses. Yes, it's our job, and people often say, well, do you enjoy your what you do? Do you enjoy your work? And I say, well, it actually doesn't feel like work. And it's the old saying, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And that is certainly for myself completely true. We see it more as a calling because at the end of every sale, we've got a buyer who comes in, they're very excited, a bit nervous, they've just forked out a bunch of money, but they're excited about the next chapter of their lives. We've got our vendor who may be an older person or not, but they're ready for the next chapter of their lives. They've realised a valuable asset. They've got some play money. They might take a decent break and then jump into something else. And we've got ourselves in the middle. We've managed to, I guess, broker the transaction. We get paid for what we do. And if we don't succeed, we don't get paid. So again, it's a tough old business model. But it's just such a fun thing that we do. And to be able to make those positive differences in people's lives is pretty fulfilling.
And look, and we're honest. We hold ourselves to very high integrity levels, and that if we don't think we can sell a business, we'll be very honest with the vendor. If we don't think it's saleable, we'll be very honest. We're not in the game to just secure listings because we have big fat upfront fees. We don't charge big fat upfront fees. We basically we charge a basic listing fee. But if we don't think we can sell your business, we're going to be completely honest. We'll give you some very good reasons why and some options, but we don't want to get you on our books just so it can sit there and go stale for months and months. We're very genuine, we're very honest, and I think that's why accountants like us, because sometimes they'd rather we provide that to their clients than they do, because then we're kind of the bad guys. And often it's because their clients aren't listening to them. When we get on board and say, actually, no, we don't think we could take it on for X, Y, Z, they usually come back and they really appreciate the honesty, rather than having to fork out X amount as an upfront fee to somebody and then 6 months later they're in the same position.
We provide a good reality check. Absolutely. And in fact, I've done a couple of those this week, and it's just, that is the way it is. Yeah. But yeah, so it's good fun. We'd love to have the opportunity to meet and have a chat about your business. And again, you'll get the same professional, straightforward, straight up approach from us.
That's it. And that's the end of the season for the Tabak Business Sales Podcast.